Hey everyone, welcome to today's live session. I'm so excited that you're here as we dive into spring allergies and hormonal health, how histamine intolerance affects perimenopause. If you're here, chances are you're dealing with seasonal allergies that seem worse than ever. Unexplained bloating, migraines, skin issues, or even anxiety, and wondering if your hormones could be playing a role. You're in the right place. Be sure to drop a hello in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from, why you're here. Are you struggling with histamine issues? Do you suspect it's connected to your hormones? If you have a question during the session, please do type it in the chat. I'll either answer as we go or address them at the end. Share your aha moments. You know, the saying, if it's not just what's taught, it's what's caught. When you write something down, it sticks. If something resonates with you today, drop it in the comments or write it in your notes. If you have questions but don't want to post it publicly, feel free to DM me or send me an email to Dr. Nicole Smith at antigravitywellness.com. I'm happy to help. So, what to expect from the session? We'll be here for probably 20 minutes or so as we cover what histamine intolerance is, why it worsens in perimenopause, the link between estrogen, progesterone, and histamine, signs that histamine overload may be impacting you, foods and nutrients that help versus those that make it worse, and natural strategies to reduce histamine and rebalance your hormones. So, who am I and why am I teaching this? For those of you who are new here, I am Dr. Nicole Smith, Doctorate of Nursing Practice, Family Nurse Practitioner Board Certified, Orthopedic Nurse Practitioner Board Certified, and Certified Personal Trainer. I am the founder of Anti-Gravity Wellness. I started this practice because I saw too many women feeling dismissed, exhausted, and unheard when it came to their health, especially during perimenopause. After working in healthcare for over a decade and going through my own journey of optimizing my health, hormones, and fitness, I became passionate about helping women take control of their hormones, feeling strong and thriving, not just surviving. So at Anti-Gravity Wellness, we focus on root cause solutions, not band-aid fixes, so you can rebalance your hormones, regain your energy, and feel like yourself again. This is exactly what today's topic is about and why it is so important. Do stay till the end. I've got a special bonus for those who stick around. We have a low-histamine recipe pack to help you start making small, powerful changes today. If you want to dive deeper, if today's session resonates with you, I invite you to join my free 5-day Hormone Reset Challenge. I'll share more details at the end. The replay will be available if you can't stay the whole time or want to rewatch. It will also be available within the group. So let's jump in. Who here is ready to learn how histamine might be affecting their perimenopause symptoms? Drop a wave in the chat if this is something that you've been struggling with. Before we dive into the science, behind histamine intolerance and hormones, I want to share a quick story about one of my clients because chances are you might relate to her experience. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is 44, and for most of her life, she dealt with mild seasonal allergies. Nothing too crazy, just the usual sneezing and congestion in the spring. But over the last few years, things took a turn. Suddenly, she was waking up every morning with a stuffy nose, red, itchy eyes, and headaches that lasted all day. Her skin became super sensitive, reacting to lotions she had used for years. And out of nowhere, she started getting bloated after meals, even with foods she had eaten her whole life without an issue. On top of that, she felt more anxious. She struggled with sleep and had a harder time focusing at work. At first, she thought, well, maybe I just need stronger allergy meds. So she tried over the counter antihistamines, but while they helped a little, she still fell off. Her energy was low, her periods were unpredictable, and she kept gaining weight despite eating healthy. That's when she came to me, frustrated and wondering, is this just part of getting older? After diving into her symptoms, I immediately suspected histamine intolerance, which is something many women develop in perimenopause due to shifting estrogen and progesterone levels. We adjusted her diet, supported her gut health, and helped her body break down histamine more effectively. And within weeks, she was feeling better. Her congestion improved, her bloating went away, and even her sleep and mood got better. Sarah's story is so common, and if you've been noticing worsening allergies, food sensitivities, or mystery symptoms in your 40s, your hormones could be playing a much bigger role than you realize. So let me ask you, have you noticed your allergies getting worse in recent years? Maybe new skin, gut, or hormonal symptoms that seem connected? Drop a yes in the chat if this sounds familiar. Now, let's dive into what's really happening in the body and how we can fix it. All right, now that we talked about how histamine intolerance can show up in perimenopause, let's take a step back and answer the big question. What exactly is histamine and why does it matter? Most people hear histamine and think of allergies, sneezing, congestion, itchy eyes, but histamine has actually plays a much bigger role in your body. Histamine is a natural chemical that acts as a messenger in the body, controlling several important functions, including immune response. Histamine is responsible for, or it is released when your body detects something it sees as a threat, like pollen, dust, or certain foods. This is why we associate histamine with allergies. Digestion. Histamine helps regulate stomach acid, which is why some people with histamine intolerance experience bloating, nausea, or acid reflux. Nervous system function. Histamine acts as a neurotransmitter in the brain, meaning it affects mood, focus, and energy levels. This is why histamine overload can contribute to anxiety, brain fog, and sleep issues. Now, histamine isn't bad. It's actually essential for your health. The problem happens when your body has too much histamine and can't break it down fast enough. This is called histamine intolerance, and it can cause a wide range of symptoms beyond just allergies. Think of histamine like a sink filling with water. Your body can drain it out quickly, no problem. But if the drain gets clogged or the faucet is running too fast, you end up with an overflow of histamine, which leads to all sorts of symptoms. So, how does this connect with perimenopause? The answer lies in your hormones, specifically estrogen and progesterone. So, let's talk about that next. All right, now that we know what histamine is and how it works in the body, let's talk about why perimenopause makes histamine intolerance worse. Because if your allergies, bloatings, or migraines have suddenly intensified in your 40s, it's not just in your head, it is your hormones. The key player here is estrogen. Estrogen and histamine have a direct relationship. They actually fuel each other. When estrogen levels go up, histamine levels go up. And when histamine levels go up, your body releases even more estrogen. This creates a cycle where your symptoms just keep getting worse. So here's how perimenopause impacts histamine levels. Estrogen increases histamine production. When estrogen rises, especially in the first half of your cycle, it triggers your body to release more histamine. This is why many women notice their allergies, migraines, or bloating get worse around ovulation or right before their period. Estrogen blocks DOA, the enzyme that breaks down histamine. Your body has an enzyme called DAO. Said that word wrong the first time. Diamine oxidase that acts like a cleanup crew for histamine. But estrogen blocks DAO, which means histamine doesn't get broken down properly, leading to an overload of symptoms. Progesterone, which is your histamine buffer, declines first in perimenopause. Here's where things really start to shift in perimenopause. Progesterone is the first hormone to decline. And guess what? Progesterone actually helps calm down histamine. So, as your progesterone levels drop, histamine has nothing keeping it in check and symptoms becomes more intense. This leads to symptoms like worsening seasonal allergies, skin reactions like hives, flushing, and eczema, bloating and food sensitivities, migraines and headaches, especially mid cycle or before your period, anxiety, heart palpitations, and poor sleep. So, if you've ever felt like your allergies or sensitivities are worse now that you are in your 30s, this is why. It's not just pollen or food, it's your shifting estrogen and progesterone affecting how your body handles histamine. Drop a wave in the chat if this is making sense for you or if you noticed a pattern with your symptoms. All right. So now that we understand how estrogen and progesterone affect histamine, let's talk about how this actually shows up in your body. Because histamine intolerance isn't just about sneezing and seasonal allergies, it can impact almost every system in your body. Many women don't realize that symptoms like bloating, migraines, anxiety, and even poor sleep could be caused by histamine overload. So let's break it down. Here's some common symptoms of histamine intolerance. You can have seasonal allergies that seem worse than ever: constant sneezing, congestion, runny nose, itchy or watery eyes, sinus pressure, and postnasal drip. We can have skin reactions, hives, redness, or flushing, especially after eating certain foods or drinking wine, eczema or unexplained itching, heat sensitivity, or rashes. Then there's digestive issues, bloating, gas, or nausea, even with healthy foods, acid reflux or heartburn, loose stools, or IBS like symptoms. And there's hormone related symptoms, migraines and headaches, especially around ovulation or your period, heavy, painful, or irregular periods, breast tenderness, and PMS symptoms that feel worse than usual. We have mood and energy symptoms as well. There's anxiety or feeling wired but tired, heart palpitations or racing heart, and sleep disturbances, waking up at night and feeling restless. If you've experienced a mix of these symptoms, especially if they get worse at certain points in your cycle, it's a huge clue that histamine intolerance might be at play. Drop a yes in that chat if these symptoms sound familiar to you. The good news, you don't have to suffer through it. Now that we know what's happening, let's talk about how to start balancing histamine levels naturally. All right, now that we know what histamine is and how it can trigger all these symptoms, let's talk about how your body is supposed to break it down and why that process might not be working as well as it should in perimenopause. Meet DAO, your body's natural histamine cleanup crew. Your body has an enzyme called diamine oxidase, DAO, that's responsible for breaking down histamine and keeping levels balanced. Think of DAO like a drain in your sink. When it's working well, histamine gets flushed out efficiently and you don't notice any issues. But if DAO isn't working properly, histamine builds up, overflows, and causes symptoms like allergies, bloatings, migraines, and anxiety. So, how it works. When DAO is functioning properly, it breaks down histamine from food, the environment, and your body. It prevents histamine from building up to excessive levels. Symptoms stay under control and you don't notice histamine overload. When DAO is blocked or low, histamine accumulates faster than it can be broken down. You start experiencing histamine intolerance symptoms. The more histamine builds up, the worse you feel. So, what blocks DAO in perimenopause? Estrogen inhibits DAO production. So here's where hormones come into play. Estrogen actually blocks DAO from working effectively. This is why histamine intolerance can feel worse during perimenopause when estrogen is fluctuating. Gut health issues can also reduce DAO levels. DAO is produced in your gut. So if you have issues like leaky gut, IBS, or gut inflammation, your DAO production can drop, leading to higher histamine levels. Certain foods and medications can also block DAO. Some foods naturally lower DAO activity, like alcohol, especially wine and beer, fermented foods, and processed meats. And some medications like NSAIDs, antidepressants, and blood pressure meds can also interfere with DAO production. So, if your DAO levels are low, histamine builds up faster than your body can handle, and that's when you start feeling all those symptoms: congestion, bloating, migraines, skin issues, and more. If you notice that certain foods like wine, aged cheese, or leftovers seem to make your symptoms worse, Drop a wine bottle in the chat if you're experiencing this. Now that we understand how histamine builds up, let's talk about how we can support DAO naturally and help your body break down histamine more efficiently. All right, so now we know how histamine builds up in the body and why perimenopause makes it worse. Let's talk about what you can do to help bring it back into balance, starting with nutrition. What you eat plays a huge role in histamine levels. Some foods help your body clear histamine, while others can cause it to build up. If you've ever noticed that you feel bloated, itchy, or congested after certain meals, or that drinking wine gives you a headache almost immediately, it's likely because of the histamine content in your food. So there's some high histamine foods that we want to limit or even avoid. Some foods naturally contain higher levels of histamine, while others actually trigger histamine release in the body. If you're dealing with histamine intolerance, you may want to reduce or avoid these. First, we have aged and fermented foods. Histamine thrives in aged products. Aged cheeses, cheddar, brie, parmesan, fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, and miso. Normally, yes, we love these, but if you're having this issue, you might want to avoid them. Vinegar-based products, pickles, soy sauce, and balsamic. Alcohol, especially red wine, champagne, and beer. Alcohol also blocks DAO, making histamine even harder to clear. Processed and leftover meats, deli meats, bacon, smoked fish. Histamine builds up in leftovers, so fresh meat is always best. Or freeze it right after you make it and then pull it out and heat it up. Nightshades. We got tomatoes, eggplant, spinach, and peppers. These can also trigger histamine release. I actually had this problem. I had a rash breakout because I was eating spinach, like a lot of spinach every single day. And by day 5, I had a rash. I was like, oh, oops. Citrus fruits. We got oranges, lemons, limes, and grapefruit. These can stimulate histamine release, even though they don't contain much histamine themselves. So let's talk about low histamine gut healing foods to include in your diet. Now, for the good news, there are plenty of delicious low histamine foods that can help support your body and make you feel better. We got fresh proteins, chicken, turkey, fresh caught fish. You want to stick to freshly cooked meats instead of aged or processed options. And again, if you meal prep, freeze it, and that way it's a little bit fresher, keeps that freshness there. Low histamine fruits, apples, pears, watermelons, and blueberries. These provide antioxidants without triggering histamine release. Non-nightshade vegetables, zucchini, carrots, cucumbers, cauliflower. These are packed with nutrients while being gentle on histamine levels. Herbs that naturally lower histamine include ginger, turmeric, basil, and cilantro. These are all anti-inflammatory and can help calm histamine responses. There's histamine supporting nutrients. We got vitamin C. This helps break down histamine, which is found in bell pepper, strawberries, and kiwi. And B6 and magnesium support DAO enzyme production found in avocados, bananas, and salmon. So the key takeaway, if you're struggling with histamine intolerance, making simple swaps in your diet, reducing high histamine foods, and adding in nutrient-dense DAO supporting options can make a huge difference in your symptoms. Have you noticed that certain foods seem to trigger bloating, congestion, or headaches? Drop an avocado in the chat if you're ready to try some histamine-friendly swaps. Next, let's talk about key lifestyle factors, because while food is powerful, things like stress, gut health, and exercise can also impact histamine balance. Tea break. All right, now that we've covered how food can impact histamine levels, let's talk about something just as important, lifestyle habits. Because histamine intolerance isn't just about what you eat, it's also about how your body processes and regulates stress, sleep, and movement. If you're eating well but still dealing with histamine-related symptoms, your stress levels, sleep quality, and exercise habits might be working against you. Let's break down 3 key lifestyle factors that affect histamine levels and what you can do to keep them in check. First of all, let's reduce stress to prevent histamine spikes. Stress is a major trigger for histamine release. When you're under chronic stress, your body releases more cortisol, which can actually increase histamine levels and make symptoms like allergies, bloating, and skin reactions worse. So, how do we lower stress naturally? We can do deep breathing and mindfulness. You can try box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. This really helps to calm your nervous system. We can do yoga and gentle movement. Intense exercise actually spikes histamine, but low impact movement helps to regulate it. Set boundaries and take breaks. Too much work or screen time overstimulates your body, keeping stress and histamine high. Bonus tip. High cortisol from stress can also block DAO enzyme production, making it even harder to clear histamine. Number 2, we want to improve sleep and regulate histamine levels. Histamine is a wakefulness promoting neurotransmitter, which means if histamine is too high, it can keep you wired at night and exhausted during the day. So here are some signs that histamine is disrupting your sleep. You have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. You wake up between 2 to 4 a.m. feeling restless. You feel groggy or anxious in the morning. So here's how to fix it. First, we want to create a wind down routine. No screens 1 hour before bed, dim the lights, relax, don't eat a big meal before bed, all of those things. Then you want to support natural melatonin production. We can use magnesium, tart cherry juice, or glycine before bed. These things can help. Also, getting sunlight in the morning actually helps to reset your receptors. And then we want to avoid high histamine foods at night. Things like wine, aged cheese, or chocolate before bed can trigger insomnia. I know, it's such a bummer. Bonus tip though, if you notice you wake up in the middle of the night with a racing heart, histamine might be playing a role. So you might want to try some of these interventions to see if they help you. Number 3, exercise wisely, balance movement and recovery. Exercise is great for overall health, but if you're dealing with histamine issues, too much high intensity exercise can actually make things worse. Histamine is released during exercise, especially high intensity workouts. If you're already histamine sensitive, pushing too hard can leave you feeling exhausted, inflamed, and even dizzy. So what are the best workouts for histamine balance? First, strength training with adequate rest. You want to focus on shorter sessions with longer rest breaks. Walking and light cardio. This supports circulation and recovery without spiking histamine. And then mobility and recovery work. Foam rolling, stretching, and sauna can help to reduce inflammation. Workouts that you might want to modify or reduce if you're having this issue. So any excessive HIIT or endurance training. These can trigger histamine release and inflammation if they are overdone. Too much cardio without recovery, such as running long distances daily. These can spike histamine levels and make it hard to recover. Bonus tip, if you feel itchy, flushed, or get a headache during or after workout, histamine might be the reason. So if you're struggling with histamine intolerance, remember, balancing stress, getting adequate sleep, and adjusting your workouts can be just as important as nutrition when it comes to feeling better. Drop a Z in the chat if you know you need to work on your sleep, or a bicep if you're ready to adjust your workouts for better balance. Next, we're talking about the top supplements that can support histamine breakdown and help you start to feeling better faster. All right, now that we've talked about how nutrition, stress, sleep, and exercise all play a role in histamine balance, let's go over some supplements that can help your body break down histamine more efficiently. Before we dive in, I want to note that these are just a review of supplements that might help. It's always best to discuss any new supplements with your provider to make sure they're right for you. With that said, let's go through some of the most effective options for histamine balance. Number 1, DAO enzyme supplements. Since DAO, diamine oxidase, is the main enzyme that breaks down histamine, some people benefit from taking a DAO supplement, especially if they react strongly to histamine-rich foods. This helps break down histamine from food before it causes symptoms. It supports digestion and reduces bloating, reflux, and skin reactions. The best time to take it is before meals that contain higher histamine foods like wine, cheese, or leftovers. Important note, DAO supplements do not lower histamine already in your body. They just help break down histamine from food. Next is quercetin and vitamin C. These are natural antihistamines. Quercetin, I'm probably saying that wrong, and vitamin C are two of the best natural antihistamines. They work by stabilizing mast cells, which are the cells that release histamine in the first place. So quercetin blocks histamine release and reduces inflammation, and this can be found in apples, onions, and green tea. So you want to incorporate these in your diet. Vitamin C helps break down histamine faster and supports DAO production. The best time to take daily for general histamine support before exposure to high histamine foods or allergens. Number 3, magnesium and B6. These are DAO supporters. Both magnesium and B6 help support DAO enzyme, which means they can boost your body's ability to clear histamine naturally. Magnesium helps regulate histamine release and supports relaxation. Low levels, by the way, are linked to histamine intolerance. Vitamin B6 supports DAO enzyme function and helps break down histamine. When's the best time to take these? So magnesium, we want to take it before bed for better sleep and histamine control, and B6 with meals to support DAO enzyme production. Number 4, omega-3s and curcumin, anti-inflammatory powerhouses. Histamine intolerance is often linked to inflammation, so adding anti-inflammatory supplements like omega-3 and curcumin from turmeric can be a game changer. What they do: omega-3s, fish oil, reduce histamine-driven inflammation and support brain health. Curcumin, turmeric extract, blocks histamine release and improves gut health. The best time to take is with meals for better absorption and daily for long-term histamine control. Number 5 is probiotics, but we got to choose wisely here. Gut health plays a major role in histamine breakdown, but not all probiotics are created equal. Some probiotic strains actually produce histamine, which can make symptoms worse. The best probiotic strains for histamine intolerance include Bifidobacterium infantis, Bifidobacterium longum, and Lactobacillus rhamnosus. And then there are some high histamine strains that you should avoid. Just look up on Google, see where you're at with your probiotic, and if it could be contributing to your symptoms, you might want to try another one. The best time to take it is daily for gut and histamine balance. The right supplements combined with a low histamine diet, lifestyle adjustments can make a huge difference in reducing symptoms and helping your body clear histamine more efficiently. Drop a pill in the chat if you've ever tried any of these or are interested in learning more about how they work. Next, we're going to pull everything together and talk about what you can do today to start managing histamine intolerance naturally. All right, we've covered a lot today: what histamine is, how perimenopause makes it worse, and the role of DAO enzyme, nutrition, lifestyle changes, and even supplements that can help. But I know that when you're dealing with histamine issues, you want relief fast. So let's break it down into simple, effective steps you can start today to reduce histamine overload and feel better. Step 1, identify your histamine triggers. The first step is figuring out what is causing your histamine buildup in your body. Some of you might be more sensitive to certain foods, while others might notice stress, exercise, or alcohol are bigger triggers. So what you want to do, you want to track your symptoms. Write down when your symptoms show up. Is it after eating certain foods, around your period, after a stressful day? Keep an eye on common histamine releasing culprits like wine, aged cheese, fermented foods, and processed meats. Drop a note in the chat if you've ever noticed patterns in your symptoms. Number 2, swap high histamine foods for lower histamine options. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight. Just start making a few smart swaps to reduce histamine exposure while still enjoying delicious food. So some simple swaps to try. You can swap aged cheese for fresh mozzarella or goat cheese. Swap red wine for vodka with fresh lime if you drink alcohol, which we want to do that in very little bit. Swap fermented foods for fresh herbs and gut friendly veggies. Swap leftovers for freshly cooked meals, or again, freeze them and then heat them up fresh. Bonus tip: if you do eat a higher histamine food, try pairing it with a DAO supporting nutrient like vitamin C or B6. Number three, lower histamine naturally with daily habits. Histamine is influenced by more than just food. Your stress levels, your sleep, and even how you exercise can make a big difference. So, first, we want to reduce stress. Let's use some deep breathing, yoga, or even a daily walk outside can help lower histamine. Of course, seasonal allergies are a thing, right? Next, prioritize your sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours and avoid high histamine foods or alcohol before bed. And then we want to modify our workouts. If intense exercise makes you feel worse, try more strength training, walking, or yoga instead of HIIT. Remember, your body needs time to clear histamine, so giving it the right support with food, sleep, and stress management is key. And then number four, we're going to add histamine supporting nutrients. If you want an extra boost, focus on nutrients that help your body break down histamine faster. Things like vitamin C found in bell peppers, kiwi, and strawberries. Quercetin found in onions, apples, and green tea. Magnesium and B6 found in avocados, salmon, and bananas. Omega-3s and curcumin helps lower inflammation. You can find that in fresh fish, and curcumin in turmeric and those types of seasonings. Bonus tip: taking a DAO supplement before eating a high histamine meal may also help to reduce your symptoms. Histamine intolerance doesn't have to control your life. With the right nutrition, lifestyle tweaks, and targeted support, you can start feeling better, often within just a few weeks. Drop hands up in the chat if you are ready to start making small, sustainable changes today. Next, I have some exciting next steps to help you continue on this journey, including a special bonus for everyone here today. Let's talk about it. Congratulations, you made it to the end. And as a thank you for being here, I have some exciting free gifts and a special sneak peek into something brand new that I'm launching soon. So if you're ready to start balancing your hormones and reducing histamine symptoms naturally, here's how I can help for you to take the next step for free. Gift number one, free 5-day Hormone Reset Mini-Course. You'll learn how to rebalance your hormones in just 5 days. We'll focus on reducing stress, gut health, and adrenal support. It includes daily videos, quick action steps, and a simple reset plan. So if you're watching, you can scan the QR code. If you're listening, look in the chat or the description for the direct link. Number two, free histamine recipe collection, a special curated collection of low histamine recipes to help you start eating in a way that supports your body. These includes breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and snacks that won't trigger histamine overload. They're easy to follow and designed using that Clean Life meal planning tools. So again, scan that QR code or check the chat description for the direct link. Next, we have a sneak peek. There's an upcoming cycle syncing 12-week program, which I'm so excited to announce. It will be launching next month. This is designed for women in perimenopause to work with their natural cycle instead of fighting against it. You're going to learn how to adjust your diet, workouts, and energy management based on your hormonal shifts each month. You'll feel your best naturally without extreme diets, burnout, or frustration. If you want to be part of the first round at a special early bird price, direct message me today or email me cycle and I'll send you the exclusive early bird details. This is the lowest price that it will ever be. Remember, small changes add up. Whether you start with the 5-day reset, the low histamine recipes, or join me for the cycle syncing program, you're taking control of your health. Your future self, well, thank you. Be sure to scan those QR codes or check the description in the chat or the description for the direct links for those free gifts. Okay. Whoa. We covered a lot today, and I hope this session gave you clarity on how histamine intolerance and your hormones are connected, and more importantly, what you can do to start feeling better. Remember, you don't have to suffer through worsening allergies, bloatings, migraines, or anxiety. Once you understand the role histamine plays in perimenopause, you can start taking action to regain control of your health. So, how we can help you moving forward. If today's discussion resonated with you and you know you need more personalized support, I want to remind you that at Anti-Gravity Wellness, we run a fully functional telemedicine practice designed specifically for perimenopause and menopausal women who are tired of being dismissed by their doctors and want real answers. We offer functional lab testing to get to the root causes of your symptoms, nutritional counseling and coaching to support hormone balance through food, fitness coaching and programs designed specifically for women in perimenopause, hormone replacement therapy, including bioidentical estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid support when appropriate, membership levels to fit different needs, whether you need basic guidance or comprehensive care. If you are interested, DM me or send me an email to Dr. Nicole Smith at antigravitywellness.com. You can book a brief initial consult call to see which service level is right for you. All right, so I'd love to hear from you. Drop your questions in the chat, whether they're about histamine, perimenopause, hormone balance, or anything else we covered today. And remember, if you have a question but don't want to post it publicly, feel free to DM me or email me, and I'd be happy to help you. Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, grab your free gifts, check out the upcoming cycle syncing program, and let's get you feeling your best. I'm looking forward to seeing you inside the 5-day reset, the cycle syncing program, or working with you in my telemedicine practice. So post your questions, send me a DM, send me an email. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining me today. Bye.